Well, because I was kind of jumping around because I had different questions I want to ask.
Sorry, brother. We got time.
Did you have a family before you went to prison? Did you have children?
I had a son. Yes, I had a son. And one thing I know for sure, I loved him more than I loved myself. So I was willing to do anything to change my life for him. But I wanted to change his circumstances so that he didn't come up living my circumstances.
Right.
So my parents were both in prison. I didn't have nobody. I floated around. I got family that was well off that didn't care they didn't know if I was sleeping on a bridge. They didn't call. But I wanted my son to have opportunities that I didn't have. And that's cliche because every parent says that, but it's really true. And I came up in a really racist state. Western Pennsylvania is terrible.
So I hear.
Couldn't get a job, and you have even McDonald's and Dairy Queen, been there since 1950 and never had a black employee.
Wow,
you know what I'm saying?
Incredible.
Until like 96 or something.
That's crazy.
Couldn't even get an interview. So.
How old was your son when you went to prison?
7, I think. 7. I have to do math. I'm bad with math, but yeah, I think he was like 7. Yeah.
Was you a big part of his life when you went to prison?
Yes, I have full custody of my son.
You had full custody of your son before you went to prison.
Yes.
So, man, what was that like for you when you had to leave your son, and what was it like for him?
I have a lot of regrets about that because designating the people that's going to take care of him, I made a big mistake with that. Allowing his mom's family to take up that role was the worst thing ever.
Okay.
And that's a long story in itself, but but the main thing being them brainwashing him against me.
Was his mother in prison?
No, his mom was on drugs.
She was on drugs.
Yes.
So you couldn't designate her,
right?
Because you had custody, so you figured you would designate.
And we were
someone
young.
in her family.
We were young,
no doubt.
Yeah, but the family, they brainwashed him. Like, he looked at me a certain way when I came home. It took me a while to rebuild. Yes. I mean, he was told, I didn't care for him. I never was there for him. I didn't do nothing for him. Financially, they took care of him. I sent him to Disney World, and I did, before I went to, I gave his mom money so they could go. It's like they claimed that.
The family claimed that.
They did that.
Wow.
Your dad never did anything. He didn't even, when you was a baby, we even bought your diapers. Your dad didn't care for you.
Wow.
He was so young when I went to prison that he didn't remember.
Did you get a chance to see him while you were in prison?
They would never bring him.
They wouldn't bring him.
But, me, I'm determined, laser-like focus, man. Like, I'm going to see my son.
Right.
So what I did was have one of my friends just say that they were going to take him to the zoo or something.
Okay.
And they brought him.
So
we had to keep it a secret.
All right, that's
so
dope.
Only twice, though, the whole time I was gone.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. So, I guess as part of your plans, what did you think about, like, when you were in prison, about when you got home and how you were going to spend time with your son and what were you going to do and stuff like that?
Well, I didn't know the extent of the brainwashing until after I came home. That's what you look forward to, like getting home and having that relationship, rebuilding that relationship, because you have, talking to them on the phone, it's just not the same. You can still have an impact on your kids, even if you're not presently with them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, did I say that right? Yeah.
100%,
even if you're not in their presence,
right,
you can still have an impact. The conversation, the type of father I am, I'm a no nonsense. I don't believe in fairy tales. I don't sugarcoat. Like, I give it to them real.
Right.
No matter, as long as they're old enough to handle it.
Right.
I never lied to my son. I never made up stories. I never, my son never believed in Santa Claus. Like, I just don't do that,
Yeah.
And I'm even fighting with that now because I'm raising his son. I'm raising my grandson, who I found out about him 3 years after my son was gone. So, but it's a tug of war with me and my lady. He's a kid. He's 7. We're celebrating Halloween. We're like, I don't want to. We have to sugarcoat a lot for him. Dealing with his mother and what she's going through and why he's with us. But I don't believe I should. I think he should know the truth, even at that age.
Right.
You know, this is why you're here with us. But
So, Irv, how did
it's a
your
matter of
son
opinion.
pass?
It was a car accident, but caused by the police.
Wow.
Yeah, so the day of his death,
Wow.
and I have a lot of regrets, man. A lot of regrets because, like I said, I have full custody. He was in high school. He lived with me in the city of Pittsburgh.
When you came home, you got your custody back from your
Right.
son,
So he lived with
and
me.
he was living with you.
And I moved him to the city,
Okay.
which he didn't like
Okay.
because he was going to the school for all his life. And, you know, he was a basketball star, a soccer star. And
Was he?
Yes. But
Wow.
he, you know, they won the section repeatedly. And, you know, he was like the second leading scorer.
Wow.
And, you know, he begged me, his mom's family begged me to let him go back there. So while I'm living in the city of Pittsburgh, he's back in Brownsville. And I allowed him to go
Okay.
because he had the opportunity to do great things in sports.
Okay.
And I'm like, maybe he could get a scholarship.
You can't blame yourself for
You
that.
know? But it was under the promise of mom's family that, oh, we got him, we
Okay.
got him, we got him. I should have known better. But anyways, that's not the reason he died. He had a girlfriend. He's spending time with his family. The girlfriend goes up to the house, picks a fight with him, grabs his phone, throws it in the woods. She takes off in her car. So being a teenage boy, you arguing with your woman, he goes after her in a car, you know, trying to get a call on her, trying to get her to stop, pull over, you know, let's talk, you know. And there's multiple people in her car, but she speeds past the police
Wow.
instantly.
Day after.
But
So he's right behind.
But she's a white girl.
Oh man.
So he's behind her.
In Western Pennsylvania.
Yes, he's behind her. She zips past. They instantly hit the lights, but when he goes past right after her, they go separate ways, but they get on him and not her. They let her go and they get on him. He's in the car by himself, so they follow him. He panicked. He takes off. And I thought he just lost control for a long time because the police refused to release the dash cam footage. I had to file a lawsuit. I had to do all this stuff. It was ugly, and I wasn't even in my right mind.
Right.
You know, because I had a good case, but I just couldn't keep up with it. But anyways, I never watched the video, but my mother did and my niece did. And
Oh wow, she saw the video.
They saw the cops kind of caused it. Like they
did one of them maneuvers.
Yeah. And they ran them into the wall. The back of the car was smashed in and the front of the car. And I really knew something was up. Something was wrong with what they did because usually when there's an accident, somebody dies, the cops show up at the house or they talk to the parents.
Right.
When I got to the hospital that night, the cops, they were there, but they snuck out another door. Like they walked in the front door, but after I got there, they snuck out a side door so they didn't have to come past me.
Wow.
You know, and they could say they didn't do it on purpose, but I know what it was.
Right. They didn't want to look in your eyes.
Then it was like, you know, got the lawyer, you know, I'm trying to see what happened to my son. Like, I just want to know. And they refused to release that footage. It took a year. Jeez. But I knew they were showing their guilt with that.
Right.
You know, so.
Why wouldn't you release it? Exactly.
So I filed a lawsuit and, you know, I just, like I said, you know, for a good year or two, I was a whole different Irv, you know? Like, I'm just now getting back to myself, but, you know, I was deep depression. I was functional, but I was depressed.
Right.
I mean, after that night, you know, because I drove to the hospital, it was an hour away, hour and change, but my girlfriend at the time drove back. And when I got home, like, that whole next week, I don't remember. Like, it's like I have amnesia.
Right.
But she said I didn't get out of bed for 3 days.
Wow.
Not to use a bathroom, not to eat, not to talk to nobody. 3 days straight.